Let me ask you something personal. Do you remember what it felt like to wake up at 35, full of energy, clear-headed, motivated, ready to take on the day? Now compare that to how you feel most mornings today. If there's a gap, and for most men over 50, there is a significant gap, I want you to know something important. That gap is not laziness. It's not stress. It's not just getting older and accepting it. It has a name. It has a mechanism. And it is largely addressable. After 50, the average man loses between 1 and 2% of his testosterone every single year. That sounds small, but do the math. By 60, you could have 10 to 20% less testosterone than you had at 50. By 65, up to 30% less. And here's the part that most people don't know. Testosterone is not just a muscle hormone. It is not just about sex drive or physical strength, though it affects both significantly. Testosterone is a brain hormone. It directly regulates BDNF production, the brain growth factor we discussed in video 1 of this series. It maintains synaptic density in the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. It modulates dopamine signaling, your brain's motivation and reward system. It regulates the inflammatory pathways that either protect or damage your neurons. When testosterone drops after 50, your brain feels it, sometimes before your body does. The brain fog, the reduced motivation, the difficulty concentrating for long periods, the sense that your mental sharpness just isn't quite what it used to be. These are not separate problems. They are symptoms of the same underlying hormonal shift. And today, we're going to talk about what you can do about it. Naturally, affordably, starting this week. Let's start with something most men have never been told. Your brain has testosterone receptors everywhere. The hippocampus, your memory center, is densely packed with testosterone receptors. The prefrontal cortex, your center for decision-making, focus, and executive function, has them too. Even the amygdala, the emotional regulation center of your brain, is loaded with testosterone receptor sites. This is not an accident of biology. Testosterone is not just visiting the brain, it is doing critical work there. A study found that men with lower testosterone had significantly smaller hippocampal volume than men with higher levels. Smaller hippocampus means weaker memory, less capacity for new learning, greater vulnerability to cognitive decline. Testosterone directly stimulates BDNF production in hippocampal neurons. When researchers blocked testosterone receptors, BDNF levels fell immediately. The BDNF decline we talked about, the 50% drop between ages 40 and 60, is partially driven by testosterone decline. Testosterone regulates dopamine receptor sensitivity. When testosterone is adequate, dopamine signaling is efficient, motivation is strong, focus comes easily. When testosterone falls, dopamine receptor sensitivity decreases. The same amount of dopamine produces less response. Things that used to motivate you feel flat. The mental drive that defined you for decades quietly diminishes. Most men attribute this to burnout or stress. Some of it is testosterone. Understanding this cycle is key to taking action. Testosterone promotes physical activity. Physical activity produces BDNF. BDNF supports synaptic health. Healthy synapses maintain cognitive function. As testosterone falls, the drive for activity decreases. Less activity means less BDNF, leading to faster cognitive decline. This is the aging spiral, and the earlier you interrupt it, the easier it is to interrupt. Let's talk about the warning signs, because this is where most men lose years of preventable decline. The problem with testosterone decline is that it is slow, gradual. There's no single morning where you wake up and think, my testosterone dropped last night. It happens at 1 to 2% per year, invisible in any given month, significant over a decade. So your brain adjusts, you adapt, you normalize the new baseline, and you attribute the changes to other things. Here are the 7 warning signs that research identifies as the most common early indicators of significant testosterone decline in men over 50. Be honest with yourself as I go through these. Warning sign 1, afternoon energy crash, not tiredness after a long day. A consistent, predictable drop in energy and mental clarity between 2 and 4 p.m. Your morning coffee carries you through the morning, but by early afternoon, the engine is running noticeably rough. This pattern, morning adequate, afternoon collapsed, is one of the most consistent early testosterone decline signatures. Warning sign 2, reduced motivation for things you used to enjoy. This is not depression. This is not burnout. It is a subtle but persistent sense that the things that used to drive you require significantly more effort to engage with. The spark is still there, but it needs more kindling. Warning sign 3, word retrieval difficulty. You know the word. You've used it thousands of times, but in the moment you need it, it won't come. You circle around it, you describe it. Then it arrives, usually 30 seconds too late. This cognitive symptom is associated with declining testosterone and declining BDNF in the prefrontal cortex. Warning sign 4, reduced sleep quality. Not necessarily trouble falling asleep, but waking in the night, lighter sleep overall. feeling less restored despite adequate hours. Testosterone plays a direct role in regulating sleep architecture, specifically in promoting slow-wave sleep. Warning sign 5, increased irritability or emotional flatness. Some men experience heightened irritability as testosterone declines. Others experience the opposite, a kind of emotional blunting, a reduced intensity of feeling. Both patterns are documented in the research on testosterone and emotional regulation. Warning sign 6, reduced physical recovery. Your body takes noticeably longer to recover from physical exertion than it did 5 or 10 years ago. Muscle soreness lasts longer. This reflects declining testosterone's impact on protein synthesis and mitochondrial repair capacity. Warning sign 7, increasing abdominal fat despite no significant dietary changes. Testosterone and body fat composition are directly related. As testosterone declines, the enzyme aromatase becomes more active in adipose tissue, converting testosterone to estrogen. More belly fat means more aromatase activity, which means less testosterone available. Another vicious cycle. If 3 or more of these resonate with your experience, the research suggests that addressing testosterone support proactively is a high-value investment. Now, let's talk about the solution. First, a word about testosterone replacement therapy. TRT, pharmaceutical testosterone supplementation, is a legitimate medical intervention. If your testosterone levels are severely deficient and you have symptoms that significantly impact quality of life, TRT may be appropriate. That is a doctor's conversation. What we're discussing today is different. We're discussing research on natural compounds that support the body's own testosterone production, working with your biology. The compound with the strongest research backing for natural testosterone support is one you may have heard of, ashwagandha, specifically a standardized extract called KSM-66. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb, a plant compound that helps the body regulate its stress response systems. It has been used for over 3,000 years. One of the primary suppressors of testosterone in men over 50 is chronically elevated cortisol. Cortisol, the stress hormone, directly inhibits testosterone synthesis. In men over 50, with chronically elevated baseline cortisol and reduced adrenal recovery capacity, this suppression becomes persistent. Ashwagandha's primary mechanism is cortisol reduction. Multiple randomized trials have shown KSM-66 reduces serum cortisol by 20 to 30%. And as cortisol comes down, the suppression on testosterone is lifted. A trial published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition tested KSM-66 in men aged 40 to 70 over 8 weeks. The group showed a significant increase in total testosterone, averaging 15 to 18%, compared to a placebo group, along with improved physical recovery. 600 milligrams per day of KSM-66 ashwagandha costs approximately 70 cents to $1 from quality manufacturers. That is your $1 herb. But ashwagandha is only part of the story. The research also points to zinc. Zinc is an essential mineral that serves as a direct cofactor. The challenge after 50 is that zinc absorption decreases with age. Supplementation at 15 to 30 milligrams per day is inexpensive and reliably increases testosterone. The second is vitamin D3. Vitamin D is a precursor to a steroid hormone that directly regulates testosterone synthesis. Deficiency is common in adults over 50. Supplementation at 2,000 to 5,000 IU per day costs cents per day and supports multiple aspects of health, including immune function and mood regulation. Now let me give you the complete integrated hormone support protocol with specific doses, timing, and practical guidance. Morning with breakfast, KSM-66 ashwagandha at 300 milligrams. Taking half the daily dose in the morning with food helps maintain consistent cortisol regulation. Throughout the day, the period when cortisol is naturally highest. Zinc picolinate at 15 to 30 milligrams. Take with food as zinc on an empty stomach can cause nausea. Vitamin D3 at 2,000 to 5,000 dose IU. Take with your fattiest meal for optimal absorption, as vitamin D is fat-soluble. Evening with dinner. KSM-66 ashwagandha, second dose at 300 milligrams. Research suggests that split dosing, morning and evening, produces more consistent cortisol reduction than a single daily dose. This evening dose also supports the sleep quality improvements associated with ashwagandha supplementation, specifically its documented effects on sleep, a decent onset latency and slow-wave sleep duration. Important note on vitamin D dosing. The appropriate dose depends significantly on your current levels. If you have access to blood testing, checking your 25-hydroxyvitamin D level before supplementing is worthwhile. It is one of the most commonly available and inexpensive blood tests. Now, optimal levels for testosterone support appear to be in the range of 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter. If you are severely deficient, higher doses under medical supervision may be appropriate to restore levels more quickly. Now here is something practical and important about timing expectations. Cortisol reduction from ashwagandha is typically measurable within 4 to 6 weeks. Testosterone increases, mediated through the reduced cortisol suppression, typically become measurable at 8 to 12 weeks. Subjective improvements in energy, motivation, and cognitive clarity often appear earlier, sometimes within 3 to 4 weeks, as the cortisol reduction itself has direct benefits on mental well-being and sleep quality, independent of the testosterone effects. The most important thing to understand about the hormone protocol and about this entire series is that consistency is everything. These are not acute interventions. They are chronic support systems for biological processes that have been declining gradually for years. The decline didn't happen overnight. The recovery doesn't either. But it does happen, consistently, measurably, and in a direction that meaningfully changes the trajectory of your cognitive health. Now, let's talk about the lifestyle factors that amplify the protocol. Because the research is clear that supplements without lifestyle context deliver a fraction of their potential. The single most powerful non-pharmacological testosterone support intervention in the research literature is resistance exercise. Heavy compound movements, squats, deadlifts, rows, presses produce acute testosterone spikes that, with consistent training, contribute to elevated baseline levels over time. Even for men who have never lifted weights, starting a resistance training program after 50 has been shown to meaningfully counteract age-related testosterone decline. You don't need a gym membership. Bodyweight resistance exercises done consistently produce measurable effects. The second most powerful lifestyle factor is sleep optimization. We dedicated an entire video to this, and now you can see why it's even more critical in the context of testosterone. Approximately 70% of daily testosterone production happens during sleep, specifically during slow-wave sleep. Every night of inadequate deep sleep is a night like roots of reduced testosterone synthesis. The sleep protocol from video 5 is not just a brain health intervention, it is a direct testosterone support intervention. The third factor is stress management. And here is where ashwagandha's cortisol lowering mechanism intersects with lifestyle practice. The compound lowers cortisol biochemically, but combining it with actual stress reduction practices, whether that's meditation, breathing exercises, time in nature, or simply reducing unnecessary commitments, produces synergistic benefits that the supplement alone cannot fully achieve. And the fourth factor is body composition, specifically reducing excess abdominal fat. As we discussed, belly fat contains aromatase enzymes that convert testosterone to estrogen. This is not just an aesthetic concern. It is a direct biochemical driver of testosterone decline that compounds over time. The resistance exercise and dietary improvements that support the gut-brain protocol from our last video also directly address this mechanism. Let me end today's video with something I think is important to say directly. Men over 50 are not well served by the cultural narrative around aging. The message most men receive is that declining energy, reduced motivation, and accumulating physical changes are just what getting older looks like. Accept it. That narrative is not only unhelpful, it is, in light of the research, factually incomplete. The biology of testosterone decline after 50 is real. The cognitive consequences are real. And the research-backed interventions for addressing it naturally, without pharmaceutical intervention for the vast majority of men, are equally real. You don't have to accept a version of your 60s and 70s defined by declining energy and progressive cognitive retreat. That outcome is not inevitable. It is the outcome of not having the information or choosing not to act. You now have the information. Here is your specific action plan. Step 1, order KSM66 ashwagandha. Look for products that specify KSM66 on the label. This is the standardized extract used in clinical research. Generic ashwagandha may not have the same bioavailability. A month's supply at 600 milligrams per day costs approximately $20 to $30. Step 2, add zinc picolinate at 15 to 30 milligrams daily with your morning meal. Cost, approximately $5 to $10 per month. Step 3, add vitamin D3 at 2,000 to 5,000 IU daily with your fattiest meal. Cost, approximately $5 to $10 per month. Step 4, start the resistance exercise habit. Even 20 minutes of bodyweight exercises 3 times per week produces measurable hormonal benefits over 8 weeks. Step 5, integrate this hormone protocol with everything else from the series, like the morning coffee BDNF protocol and magnesium L-threonate. You now have a complete 7-component biological optimization protocol that addresses the primary drivers of cognitive and physical aging after 50. Coming up next week, we're talking about something that affects everyone over 50, chronic inflammation, the slow, silent driver of virtually every age-related disease. We'll show you specific markers to understand and dietary patterns that either extinguish or fan the flames. Don't miss it. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and share this video with a man over 50 in your life. Stay sharp, stay strong, stay vital.